各位听众，大家好，我的名字是夏伟俊，我是加州众议员第24选区的候选人，希望你认识我，能支持我。虽然我没有很多头发，但我超爱我的社区，我的国家，更爱我的神。希望你能投我一票。
Why you want to do this campaign? Like this is a not easy task.
It is a big test for not only an individual as a character, but also work ethic, and also testing how much you believe in what you're fighting for. Because you were put on the spot, everything falls back on me as the candidate. Even if I have a campaign manager, I have a team of about 30 volunteers, but at the end of the day, it comes down to me. And I need to ensure that this train keeps going. But I gotta say, a big part of why I'm also doing this is from the encouragement from my supporters. I did a lot of volunteer work, which I'll tell you in a second, but they're like, Max, you need to run.
To inspire you to put this idea in your head in the very beginning.
It wasn't one person, it was a couple people. It was fellow volunteers in the Republican volunteer group. So to go back into the beginning, I've been a Republican since 2016 when Trump first was running.
Wow.
I was a Democrat.
10 years ago.
Yes, 10 years ago. And he inspired me with his message to truly prioritize Americans and to bring greatness and glory back to America. And I saw what happened before with the previous presidents, especially Obama was the last time I voted Democrat, and just was really
Did you vote him for once or twice?
Twice. For Trump?
I mean Obama.
Obama. I voted for him twice. Yes. And then we've seen what happened and the empty promises. And Trump really struck a chord with me. So he inspired me to register Republican. And I voted for Trump twice. Three times. Yes, 3 times. And so anyway, but since I've been running business, so I've lived here for 30 years, like I said, but I've been running small businesses for about over a decade.
In what field? Do you mind?
Yeah,
Food?
Food retail. Yes. It was, I got it to a point where it was quite successful, and I sold the entire business right before COVID.
That's lucky.
Praise the Lord. It was very lucky timing, but it all worked out, and I've just been kind of semi-retired since then, just focusing on investment and some other projects that I've been trying to start more businesses.
Half-jokingly, it sounds like a Republican.
Exactly, yeah. The Republicans tend to be more entrepreneurial, I think, but we always want to create value, and through that, either a product or service, we create jobs as well, and that's something that I'm very passionate about, and that's why Trump struck a chord with me too. And I think if you're good at running a business, you have some qualifications to run your local government, or even statewide or countrywide, domestically. So. So after selling my business, I've taken a break but focusing on other investments. And before, I was not open about being a Republican for fear of cancellation, fear of judgment. But especially now with just having, I don't know if this is the best way to put it, but nothing to lose. I don't really, at this point, I don't really care if I get backlash. I can freely speak and fully utilize the First Amendment rights. And it was the inauguration last year when Trump was sworn into office. I'll tell you a quick story.
Sure, go ahead.
This is what got me into starting into volunteer work and then ultimately running for office. Is I saw about 200 people at night on the streets on Inauguration Day at Santana Row. Well, not but across the street on Stevens Creek in Winchester.
Yeah, it's very close to here.
Pretty close to here. And I saw from a distance, I was driving by, I saw signs with Trump on it, and so I couldn't see very clearly, but I was like, wow, we're finally celebrating Trump in the Bay Area. This is a miracle. I need to go check it out. And so I go there. I only had a small little flag back then. And as I got closer, I noticed that what they were saying was not support, but anger. And
That's normal.
hatred. Yeah. And I was like, oh, here we go again. Okay, this is the norm. So I was like, okay, the signs ended up being Trump is not my president. We want Trump out. He is a racist and all this.
TDS.
TDS, yes. And it's Vogel. Oh, my goodness. So I go up and I was like, wow, well, I'm here. He just got sworn into office. But my thing is, like, I thought we should be celebrating this. Whether you like him as a person or not, he is our duly elected president.
Yeah.
This man...
It's a landslide. Come on, guys, right?
Exactly.
This is the whole nation. The people have spoken. That's exactly that line means. People have spoken.
People have spoken democratically.
Yeah.
I get the last election, he didn't win the popular vote. Okay, I get that people can kind of call that complaint, but listen, this time he won the popular vote. He won the electoral college.
Exactly.
He won 86% of all counties, and on top of that, he won all 7 swing states.
Right.
He is undeniably our president, whether you like him as a person or not.
For sure.
So I go up to them, I say, listen, I say these things. Trump won. You guys need to get over it.
You really did that?
I did. I held up my little
Whoa.
flag. It was me versus about 200 people at night. And I was terrified, but I was also fed up. I was like, why are you still complaining? Let's move on. Let's try to unite, compromise. Let's try to find solutions together to bring our country together.
Solution.
Stop looking in the past. Election's over. It's a landslide. Let's move forward. But no, they're yelling things at me. They're saying, if you support Trump, you're a racist. Somebody even said, you look like an immigrant. You should be with us.
Yeah, that's identity politics. The very definition, right?
Exactly. Well, I am for immigrants, just legal immigrants.
Yeah,
do it
sensible.
the correct way, like my parents did when they immigrated from Taiwan. So there's a process, It's a concept of a line, right?
Yeah.
And there's fees that are obviously due to the country. But anyway, you have to assimilate into the country that you choose to immigrate to, right? So I tell these people things. Somebody even threw soda at me. It hit my shoulder, exploded.
Violent.
Yes, I walked up. I took 2 steps towards him, still holding my flag, and the guy ran away. But
Coward.
yeah, and I was just shocked that they, it's a
But
herd
it's very
mentality.
dangerous still, right? It's in deep blue state.
Yes.
And you did that. I personally don't recommend people do that because
I don't either.
it doesn't solve anything in your philosophy, but it puts yourself in danger. But why? What force drive you to do that? Like just because you are so brought up with all kinds of emotion.
Part of it is just since 2016, I haven't been able to voice that I support Republicans. And this time the election was so clear, the victory was so clear that I was expecting people to maybe not rejoice, but let's come together. The people have spoken, like you said.
Yeah.
And we need to move forward. But I'm still seeing people complain, and I got so fed up that I wanted to at least make a little stand here in ultra blue San Jose, Bay Area, that we as conservatives exist here and we have a voice, and I am not afraid to take the heat to just simply represent our voice and simply support the president being elected.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to represent the voice. I was not violent or aggressive. I just held my ground. In fact, it was the opposite. People were aggressive towards me, even the volunteers there. But anyway, so that started from there. And my question was at the end of that night, yes, this was kind of dangerous, not the best idea. So I learned from that. But I asked myself, where are my Republicans? Where are the conservatives? They may not have to be out here, making a public voice like me. That's okay. But where do I find my fellow Republicans? Almost 40% voted for Trump in California in 2024.
Yeah.
So I was baffled. So this got me on a quest to look up the Republican presence here. I was eventually connected to the CAGOP convention in Sacramento in, I think it was February or March. From there, I met Peter Kuo, and I met a lot of other great patriots all over the Bay Area, San Francisco, Santa Clara, Santa Cruz. From there, I organized a lot of Republican events, just getting people together, celebrating the wins that and the progress that Trump was doing, especially the first year, first few months. He accomplished so much. And also trying to fix a lot of things from the past administration. So that started my volunteer journey. Then that led into the special election with Measure A, which is the increase in sales tax in Santa Clara County.
It passed, right?
It passed. Somehow people voted to tax themselves even higher.
It's so baffling. It's just why? Like, why people want to raise our own tax?
The reason is because of misleading advertising. They kept using the reason that it was going to fund hospitals, which they're bankrupt, essentially.
Yeah, poorly run, poorly operated.
And they're trying to guilt trip us that if we don't fund this, that nurses are going to lose their jobs, people are going to die. But then we see advertisements that the funds are going to start being directed towards other things when it was supposed to be saving jobs and lives, right?
Yeah.
So, and I won't linger on that too long, but my thing with the tax is that we are taxed the highest rate in this country, and we are in debt. It makes no sense at all. We need better spending and reform instead of higher taxes. Higher taxes should be a last resort. So that's why we're pushing. I went to city council meetings. I went to board of supervisors meetings in Santa Clara County, and guys, I recommend we're all busy Americans working. We need to have family time, but try to attend one of these meetings. It's open to the public, typically on Wednesday mornings. You can zoom in, see what's going on behind closed doors, and see how they're deciding to spend our tax dollars. They are allocating all of our hard-earned tax dollars to these programs that may not even benefit citizens directly. They're going to all these things that are quite inefficient, and so I encourage everybody to just do your part in being informed and educated about what is happening with our tax dollars. Because if we don't speak up, they're just taking our money, and it's basically robbery at this point, and they're taxing us more. So we pushed back on Measure A. Unfortunately, we didn't succeed, but it's okay because we got we were battle hardened from that.
And probably you will know more people which previously you don't know, right? And you recognize each other and form a stronger group. Is that the case, maybe?
Absolutely. There's a lot of regular, enthusiastic, passionate patriots, all volunteer time and work. I organized overpass rallies where we had big billboards saying, please vote no on Measure A. No on Prop 50. We need to represent 40% of the conservatives who voted here. We need to break the supermajority. Another reason why I'm running is after I learned of the situation here in California is we have 80 assembly member in California.
One party.
Yes. Do you want to take a guess of how many of them are Democrats?
I think 57.
Pretty close. Yes. Yeah, you're right on. 60.
Oh, yeah.
60 out of 80. Can you believe that? That is a super majority.
Yeah.
And that does not reflect the almost 40% who voted conservative in 2024.
That's called absolute domination.
Yes. And they've used quite a few tactics to get there. And that's why we're also pushing for voter ID. We need to clean the voter rolls.
Does that just pass?
The petition passed to be on the ballot in November. So now we can vote on it.
So now we have a referendum, like everybody vote on this issue?
It's called a petitioning.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need in California you need about 875,000 valid signatures for it to be qualified to put on the ballot to then vote on it. So now it will be on the ballot in November.
Which is a good thing.
Yes, so I encourage everybody please to go out not only for the midterms in June 2nd. You can actually vote early. Please vote early when you get your ballots in May. I would love to earn your vote for anybody listening out there, and I'll talk about a little bit of my policies in a second. But also, not only that, get out the vote for this midterms because Trump needs backing. If we lose control of the House and the Senate, Trump could be a lame duck he could
For
just
sure.
be a president with no
Yeah.
power, and they're going to try to reverse everything that he's done, and then just nothing has been accomplished. So I encourage you to get out the vote, please. And also November 2nd is the general election. If I get top 2 from the primaries, I will make it to the general, and then we will decide if I make it to assembly to represent your voice, to break the supermajority. If we just need 7 seats to be flipped to break the supermajority, so that it forces the Democrats. It's not just our way. It just forces them to come back to renegotiate and compromise.
Supermajority in this state is like a 2/3 or what?
2/3.
2/3. Okay,
Yes.
I see.
Yes, so we need to, as long as we break that, they cannot just pass things left and right. I'll give you an example, right? The gas tax, the gas mileage
That's
tax
crazy. Yeah.
is something our current assembly member, Alex Lee, voted yes for to continue the study of.
That's the incumbent you are running against.
Yes, in my district. So, hey, seems like a young, nice guy, but the way he's voting and the way he's drafting bills is not reflecting his constituents. And a lot of the, I would say, Asian community are not happy at the end of the day. And I want to represent not only the first generation, but their children's future as well.
Yeah.
So
Alex.
let's get me in there. Let's break the supermajority. I have the energy. I'm young. I'm charismatic. And I love to work with all people. I actually get along with Democrats, independents, Republicans, of course. But during the signatures and lieu process, I'm not sure if you're aware, but to qualify for the ballot, we had to collect minimum 40 signatures. Me and my team, we collected almost 500 signatures, and a good percentage of them were Democrats. And it was nice to hear from them. I was surprised that at the end we focus on policies. I don't enter in with, "Hi, I'm Max, I'm a Republican." No, I said,
That's almost
yeah,
suicidal.
yes, I'm not that reckless. Yes, I'm brave, but not that reckless. But yeah, so I focus on the policies. I say, "Hey, did you know about this, and that?" And they're like, "Wow, I did not know." And I was like, "Well, this is what I am campaigning on, and I want to represent you in our voice." And at the end, some of them will ask, "Well, let me ask you, Max, what party are you?" And I take a deep breath, and I go, "Oh boy, here we go." And I say, "I am a registered Republican, and I'm running as that." And I was surprised that about 90% of them said good.
Really?
Yes, they said good because
90%.
about 90% because they realized they want to go back to the middle. And I'm a moderate person. I'm a moderate conservative. I'm not crazy, right? And then they finally see, wow, a Republican who's not like a fascist or a racist
Not a
in their head.
monster. That's weird.
Wow, yeah, this guy has reasonable conservative values, but he's also can bravely and proudly be a registered Republican and run as that in Bay Area. I'll vote for him. So that was really good to hear.
But do you think the party will give you some kind of support? I mean, what's the benefit of like just declare yourself as a Republican, not an independent?
Terrific question.
Huh?
So I was advised that as an idea to run as either independent or MPP, and I consider that. But at the end of the day, I want to represent conservative values. That's who I am. And I believe the Republican Party is good overall. Obviously, not all members accurately reflect our party. But as a moderate Republican, moderate conservative, I want to proudly represent this party, especially in the Bay Area. Because I also noticed in our past elections for District 24 of Assembly, we have had candidates run, for several times, and, good people, but not as much work has been done for the campaigning process, like what I've been doing. And what you see in the numbers is that still over 30% vote Republican. So that's actually a signal that even though we only have a smaller percentage of registered Republicans, more people are still wanting to vote conservative. You see, that means we're getting a bunch of independents, MPP, even some Democrats, moderate Democrats, who are registered as Democrats, but they've been
They
getting
probably
fed
are
up.
very disappointed.
disappointed, fed up, or some of them they just
Frustrated.
want to stay registered as Democrat because they don't want to be found out through work or employers or friends.
Previous you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, for me, slight adjustment. I was just truly a Democrat before, but I switched right away when Trump came along. So I wouldn't be as afraid of people finding out, but I can understand if people have coworkers and bosses that they don't want to find out with a more sensitive workplace. But since I was self-employed, I wouldn't mind if somebody found out I was Republican.
Let me ask you this simple question: like, how much money do you have to pay for register as a runner and actually make registered in this process? It takes money, right? How much do you have to pay?
So the standard filing fee is for assembly member is about $1,350, and they base it on the salary of the position, 1%.
Oh.
So annual salary is about $130,000 because it's a full-time job. Most of the time, we're going to have to be in Sacramento, focusing on bills, voting on it, working with colleagues, and all that.
Yeah,
so
full-time
traveling
job.
a lot back and forth. And so it's 1% of that. It's 1% of, I think, all the other positions too, Congress, Senate, and all that. Now, the signatures in lieu was a process and an opportunity that they give to us candidates to collect signatures to help offset part or all of the filing fee. So each signature was worth about $1.50, something like that.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it was a lot of hard work, because we had to get, from my position, we have to collect about 850 signatures to completely pay off the fee. It's a big task. But, the fact that we got a little bit over half, was terrific. But, not only, of course, helping with, $1.50 and help a couple hundred overall helped, right? But the fact that we're out there getting to know the constituents.
Yeah, that's the value, where the value lies.
Exactly. That was my main priority. Let them know, hey, 我是Max, 我要代表你, right? And let them know I'm running, who I am. And it was basically free advertisement.
For sure.
And we need to have biblical values in our policies too. I attended the Calvary Chapel on Sunday, the biblical citizenship sermon or course. And it was eye-opening because he spoke of a lot of great things, but one thing that really struck me was what was the Exodus 18:21. Okay, there's four factors of being a candidate and being a dutiful Christian involved in politics. We have a duty to be involved because we have to look out for ourselves, our neighbors, love for thy neighbor, right? Our families as well. Some people say, well, this is what the pastor or volunteer was saying, is that some Christians say, hey, let's just leave it up to God. I don't need to vote. I think God will lead us in the direction, which is true.
I think those people are becoming less and less. I think Christians are energized too. And also, I think the opposing party, I think they realize that too. Look at the recent election in Texas. That guy who replaced that woman, congresswoman, I forgot the Crockett, and what's her name
Jasmine
again?
Crockett, yes.
Yeah, Jasmine Crockett, right? He quote Bible a lot, but I don't think his value actually align with the majority of Christians. So have to be watch out. Like not only okay, I am a Christian, so I have to believe everything you say, right?
Exactly.
Still, like value matters.
Value matters, and I appreciate you saying that because there are false preachers too.
Sure. Yeah.
But one thing that did struck me was these 4 points. Okay, number 1, capable men to do a good job in office. Okay, which is honesty, integrity, which is actually number 3, honesty. Number 2, fear God, obviously. And number 4, which struck me the most, was hate covetousness.
Covet, like it means like it is some kind of envy, right? Like I want what you have, and if I don't have and you have it, I will try to grab it from you. In any means I can, right?
That's part of it. Yes, anything that involves gain or even dishonest gain, power, helps your ego, anything like that, dishonesty, and that really struck a chord with me because that's why I'm running. When I ran, I didn't even know if this was a full-time thing. I just understood that this is something that will help break the supermajority, and I thought it was a volunteer work. But I understand now that it's a full-time commitment. But I don't care about the power. Here's an example, right, is some people ask me, hey, Max, are you running to win or are you running for delegates? So I didn't even know what they're talking about. So delegates, I mean, aren't you supposed to run to win, right? You're supposed to go all the way. Like, what does running for delegates mean? So there's this whole political process that even if you lose, you gain delegate seats within your party to help assign people to vote for you at conventions, the CAGOP. They have this for the Democrat Party too. But you have power. You have power in a way to assign people to help vote on behalf of you at certain events. So it's kind of like tickets or entries to the cool kids club.
Then what's your answer?
My answer is I don't care about delegates. I want to win so I get into office to help break the supermajority and start reversing all these crazy policies that they're inflicting on us. The example is the gas tax mileage. I would vote no on it. So our assemblyman, Alex Lee, 3 weeks ago voted yes to continue the study to tax us 6 to 9 cents per mile. Our average spend per California driver per year for the highest gas tax in the nation, 69 cents per gallon, is about $300 a year, right? This proposed gas mileage tax would be 6 to 9 cents a gallon. So it would quadruple our tax to $1,200 a year. Now, think about a family, especially a working class family, 3 to 4. That's going to go to $4,000 a year, and our roads are getting worse. I don't know. I drive the same roads as you guys in Milpitas on the freeway, and we're doing the zigzag on there. We're doing the bump. It's a roller coaster ride. And we're paying the highest gas tax in the nation, and they want to charge us quadruple now. I know they say it's because of EV. EV pays upfront about half. But we need better reform. We need to look at how we're assigning our contractors for the road work. Why are they fixing the same areas of the roads every 2-3 months, it seems like? It's just a bunch of patchwork and bumpiness? Why are the roads not actually getting fixed? When I go to Taiwan to see my mom once a year, the roads are impeccable. And the BART, their version is MRT, which is the underground subway. It's clean. It's efficient.
And that's a classic Ronnie Chang's. Do you know who Ronnie Chang is? A comedian, Asian comedian. I think he's from Malaysia, and he's a Chinese. He has a special, and they joke about this. It's like you should elect Asian as a president because Asian never even stop. Right? We don't take a vacation. We work even on Christmas, and we fix things, and it's partially kind of true, right? Because Asian, especially first, second generation, we have this pragmatic style, like even towards our own life.
Right.
Like we know, okay, problem, then we solve the problem. We just don't say, okay, we shift blame, we complain. We don't do that. We just think, okay, see what I can do to solve the problem. That's the spirit I think this country need now.
I absolutely agree. Especially as Asians, first generation, our parents were not afraid to call things out. And
really blunt, right?
Yes, blunt. So I have that sort of style as well, but I combine it with some charisma. This is how you work with people, right? It can't just be like, must do this, must do this, must do that. You have to have that because I'm not afraid to call things out. I don't seek conflict, but if something is not right, I will call out the elephant in the room. But let's do it in a fun way.
Yeah.
Let's get to know each other. Let's compromise. And this is why I truly believe I can make a difference in Sacramento, is because I get along with people at the fundamental human level. Aside from all these issues, before the issues, who are you? Why are you here? Kind of like how you asked me, and I really appreciate that. Is let's get to know your personality a little bit. Okay, let's crack a joke or two. All right, now let's get into it. And I think that's part of also. My background was sales
It's
too.
a very American way. Like
Exactly.
before you can commend them, you have to
Build
commend
rapport.
their respect first, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
hope you can do well in this regard. I noticed
Thank you.
because I Google your name on YouTube. You know what I found on the top search result? It's you talking to a podcaster about like a one wheel thing. That's kind of surprising to me. So that's your hobby? You are very athletic too? Or?
I love sports. I love anything with action. So I am a thrill seeker.
Thrill seeker.
Yes, less now. That was like a couple years ago.
But I mean, politics is pretty thrilling. So kind of.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yes,
Go ahead.
It could be thrilling because especially the challenge of what we're up against. I find that thrilling. To be a Republican is, I guess it's scary here, but it's also exciting because when you say I'm a Republican here, people are like, what? But then that gives you an opportunity to explain why. And I see that as an opportunity. I find that it's an opportunity to reflect and tell people why it's okay to be Republican, and it's not a crazy thing to bring things back towards the middle, conservative, to California especially. Things have gotten too far left. We need to shift things back. But you do need a strong base, and that's why it's so important for me to represent the Republican Party, because we need that sort of that compass and that firm ground, the flagpole to be placed. So I find that exciting for politics. But back to your question, I did the one-wheel electric skateboard, and I did a lot of stunts, a lot of tricks. I was sponsored, and I made a lot of videos.
You were sponsored by the one wheel company?
Not the
what?
official one wheel company. It was like a third-party accessory company. So they would help support with some monthly credits and buying merchandise and all
That's
that.
pretty awesome.
Promote each other, making videos. So it's like an influencer sort of, but it's not a full-time job. Definitely didn't pay the bills. It was just more of a fun, bringing people together, inspiring people with my tricks or stunts, and the way that I present it. I use humor. So I think I got a pretty decent following from that. So, that's why you'll find some of that on there.
See. Yeah. Because I mean, nowadays, like, no matter which party you represent, right? Actually, a generation differs from the older generation. They have a new culture and custom and even style. Those matters, and you have to have that ability to connect with the young voters. I think cracking jokes and playing some sports, or just the way you dress, even, right? That's I think make a big difference nowadays.
Definitely.
And it's very effective. Hey, did you do some research on the final result of those who exactly are running against you, or except the incumbent? For sure, that's obvious. Do you know your opponents, competitors?
Yeah, so it's officially 3 of us.
3 of you?
It's going to be Alex Lee, Yang Xiao, and me.
All right.
Yes.
Do you know Yang Xiao personally?
I have met him a few times, and we get along nicely. Yes, we always say hi to each
We
other.
are very close, actually.
I have seen him on this show.
And
Yes.
he's a really great talker for politics and other shows. And we, like me and lots of people around me, respect him. Like
Absolutely.
he's been city councils for Fremont for lots of years, right? I think he runs as an independent, right?
Not exactly. He's running as NPP, which
What
is
exactly?
no party preference.
Oh, no
party
preference.
preference. So it's not even independent, because independent is a party.
Do you think you guys will I don't know. Is that create a better position for Alex Lee, or is it irrelevant?
It's an interesting situation for sure, because I have, first of all, I have great respect for Yang Xiao, as well. He is a kind person. He truly cares about the community as well, and he has served, like you said, on city council for quite some time.
And school board.
And school board, yes.
Yeah.
So he is definitely a public servant. And so to your question, what type of situation this creates, it would create a split in the vote from anybody else aside from Alex Lee, right? So, but that's okay. That's okay because it's the primaries. The primaries in California, we have the jungle system, the top two. So we know Alex Lee is pretty much guaranteed to move on to the general, right? So, and I think it's totally cool that for the primary, let's have both of us fight it out respectfully. I have nothing but respect for him and his campaign team, and I have instructed all of my volunteers to not say nothing bad towards the other side. We focus on ourselves and positivity, and we focus on the biblical values, and this is the best that we can do. We don't need to bring down others in our campaign. And in fact, I have talked to Yang briefly about this, but last time we saw each other at the Lunar Festival in Milpitas, and we saw each other in the parking lot as he was leaving, I was going back in. And I was like, hey, how things going? How's the campaign? We're checking in on each other. Because we met a time before, a few times actually. So I said, listen, Yang, I know we each have our own campaigns, and I support you. I wish you all the best. And he did the same. But I said, whoever wins in the primary, we should support the other person.
That's great.
Because we must be aligned in getting Alex out.
That's for sure, I think, right?
Yes, and we both agreed on that. And so that brings me great joy that no matter what happens, we are aligned and we can direct all of our voters and support to unite to get Alex out and help break the supermajority.
Yeah.
Because my thing is, can you imagine if we flip one district in Bay Area conservative?
Yeah.
It would be
significant.
Oh, wow. It would be a red dot and a thorn in their side.
Yes.
And look, it may not happen in this year, this election cycle, but imagine for 2028, people are like, wait, didn't a district flip in ultra blue Bay Area? Let's keep doing that. Let's keep supporting. And they're going to realize how much closer we are. So I want to create a ripple effect that turns into a tsunami, into a red wave that, again, nothing crazy right. We just want things to bring back to moderation, but we do need strong conservative principles to hold to.
Yeah.
Because the other thing with, just speaking not as a candidate, him personally, I'm just talking about running as either independent or MPP. When it comes time to vote, when it comes time to represent the voice of the constituents in Sacramento, things could flip-flop either way because they don't hold a party position. We want to ensure that if we want to bring things back in the middle, I am held accountable to my party and my roots and a strong base. And this is why I decided, back to the earlier point, why I decided to proudly run as Republican instead of opting for either independent or MPP.
Yeah, I think today on the road here, I listened to a little bit. San Jose Mayor Matt Mahan. He went on Sam Harris' podcast. You know who Sam Harris is? He's a kind of like a intellectual. He's really good at critical thinking. I think he's a relatively reasonable liberal. One liberal I can respect. His position more like a libertarian or very similar to Bill Maher,
Okay.
And they talk about like Mahan being pragmatic in how to run city of San Jose, right? And lots of people did recognize like how Mahan managed to somehow clean the city in a better way, right? And now Mahan is running for governor, I think.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about the way like a relatively mild Democrat to make change in their party and do things for people nowadays? Do you think should we have hope on them?
Short answer is no. Absolutely not. And I'll tell you a story firsthand how I saw this and realized this. I didn't know much about Matt. I've heard some things he was doing to clean up homeless situation and stuff like that on the streets, which is good to hear. But during my volunteer work last year, because I know people told me he positioned himself as more of a moderate Democrat.
Yes,
he has
yes,
more
for sure.
conservative principles, right? Which is, okay, that's good. It's a step in the right direction. But here's the thing. You can say one thing, and then in the end, you vote completely different. And I'll give you the story, right? So when I attended the San Jose City Council meeting last year, and part of the docket was Measure A, the higher sales tax in Santa Clara County, and also Proposition 50, which was a statewide thing, which in my opinion shouldn't even have been on the Santa Clara county docket. This is a statewide issue. They don't have to have a position on Proposition 50, which is congressional districts. But anyway, they voted yes to endorse that.
Redistricting. Right?
Yes, on Prop 50, which I
Yeah.
think was totally inappropriate. We need to focus only on Santa Clara County issues. Now, Measure A obviously was on there. Every city council member and mayor, he was there too, had an opportunity to speak on their position of Measure A. And of course, actually all of them except one spoke in favor of Measure A. Matt Mahan, here's what he said, and I'm summarizing. He said, I don't agree with higher taxes, because I actually spoke at city council. They allowed the public to speak. And I said, why are we focusing on more taxes when we should be focused on better spending? There was actually some preliminary studies shown that we could be spending less than San Mateo and Alameda counties if we had better reform systems, and we can actually save a couple billion. I think it was $2 to $3 billion a year that would help even offset the federal cuts that the hospitals are experiencing. And actually, just in a nutshell, the reason why the federal cuts were happening is because Trump was going against subsidizing medical care for undocumented residents.
Yeah,
But they, of course,
interlocked. It is a complicated
of course, they
package.
conveniently did not mention why the federal cuts were happening, but they asked for more tax dollars from us. So anyway, I did speak upon that. Then Matt said, while I do hear points that we should not raise sales tax, it should be a last resort, at the end of the day, we still need more tax revenue. And so in the end, he voted yes to endorse Measure A. And I saw that, and I was like so disappointed. I was like, this was his opportunity to make a stand to his colleagues and say, no, I will have to voice no on Measure A, even though he knows it's going to get past their endorsement. But it was his opportunity to represent conservative principles, and he chose not to.
I don't think he ever claimed himself as a conservative, right?
Okay.
But then I do think in your repeating this situation, sure, I think he got my impression as like not very principled in certain way, right? But the thing is, like from what I observed, no politician actually act principally. Like they always shift, or because of the constituents they have to answer, or the situation probably sometimes got changed. So they have to position themselves first, guarantee they are still in that position so they can bring the change. Then, yeah, it's just like, I don't know, maybe when you got elected, you will face pretty much the same dilemma. And have you ever think about that? What are you going to do if you got elected? How are you gonna, what kind of actual principle you are holding on is like, this is the first principle. I'm not going to change my position.
Yeah, where do we start? It's not just one thing, right? But absolutely holding to conservative principles. And this applies to so many different actual policies. An example is I would be like George Casey. He is a city council member of Santa Clara County. He is the only one that when I voiced my opposition to Measure A, he was the only one nodding. And he was also shaking his head, agreeing with me of all the points I was making. And he was the only one who voted no on Measure A. I would do things like that. First of all, voting no, and I may be the only one in my district voting no. And I would explain why. We need to have better reform. We need increase in tax should always be a last resort. Another example is crime, right? We experience so much crime without true consequence and follow-up that I want to be a vocalist about this. we have voted for and passed Prop 36.
Yeah, 36,
Yes. But did you know there's no funding to even
I
support it?
think it has something to do with the governor, right?
Oh,
I think
yeah.
it intentionally to either block the funding or I don't know how exactly he did that or who did that. Like who actually cut the fund to support public safety?
Well, it definitely has a part to do with who's in power, which is supermajority is Democrats in Sacramento. And I have even heard or read, but they're even saying since there was no specific budgeting outlined in Prop 36, they don't need to fund it.
Yeah, that's a game we are facing. It's like this whole game is so complicated. So the career politician can just reap all those benefits for themselves, and they just ignore people's will. Like even referendum shows, right? Like there's a majority of people want this, but they can have their way to not let it happen. That's the frustration we feel every day.
Incredibly frustrating. And when I learned of all this through my volunteer work, just getting involved with local government, like I said, the Board of Supervisors, City Council, and I'm just seeing all this stuff happen. They're not representing our voices. And so this is when I finally decided, look, if somebody's going to represent my district, and I looked who were the candidates, either before or other potential, and I was like, I don't think anybody's going to fight as hard as me. And I am incorruptible. I am not able, people cannot bribe me. I am not able to be swayed for these benefits or this and that. I have a clear cause, and again, driven not only from what I experienced, I want to share the American dream and make sure that's accessible to future generations, especially second generation immigrants here, of those from first generation Chinese and Asian. And 65% of the District 24 are Asian, right? So it is vast. I want to represent our voice. On top of that, I am financially secure. I don't need this job, okay? But where I see the opportunity is to truly and finally break the supermajority of one-party rule in California. And we have a slate of candidates. We need, according to Carl DeMaio, Reform California, we need 26 candidates in 2026 to at least flip the 7 seats. And I am one of those candidates that I truly believe will make a difference. I will need the support of everyone who believes in what I am doing, the causes, my principles, and also the initiatives to get me into office, to really not compromise on representing what I am running on. And also when I'm in office, it's not going to change. I'm not afraid to say no and push back. I think a lot of people are not just afraid, but they avoid conflict because it's a difficult thing. I don't also look for conflict, but I embrace discussion. And that's why I also truly admire Charlie Kirk, which is a separate issue. But I even held a memorial for Charlie Kirk on the day he was assassinated on an overpass. It was scary because of obviously what happened. He was shot, and people advised me not to do it. But we got so many honks, so much support. Then I did 2-3 weeks later, we held on another overpass. We had over 100 people show up and support the right to not only free speech, discussion, but also his biblical values. He was a devout Christian, and he was a future presidential candidate, if you ask me. But this is a side story. But I'm just not afraid to voice some of these touchy subjects. You have to unapologetically have a stance on some of these harder issues. Have to be unapologetically pro-life. You cannot, I am not afraid. You want to talk about it? Let's get into it, right? I can't be just wishy-washy and be like, yeah, maybe like I'm against abortion, but that's not like my area. No, like you want to talk about it. This is my conservative principles. We want to talk about crime. We want to talk about immigration. We want to talk about indoctrination of kids. Like one example is, look, I am LGB friendly, but there's this idea, this notion, like T, but the T asterisk plus is something should be 18 and over. Does that make sense? So
Yeah, I agree.
Got it. So anything like the transgender where you're switching genders.
Went too far.
It's too far.
Mm.
It's not necessarily wrong, but for like as an adult, do whatever you want. But don't try to be confusing kids in schools with that. So that's why I feel like it should be like a cigarette warning. Like there's a T is with an asterisk and 18 plus and over.
Yeah, I think even for those LG community, they hate those extended version of their term, right? They feel like, what are you doing? Like you actually hurt our right now. Like you colored us in such a way we don't want to identify with, right?
No, that's a terrific point. And we have actually a lot of those types of people who identify like that. It part of the conservative movement. And it's so amazing to see them be vocal about it too, because they're not afraid to get backlash from the other side, the other alphabet, right? The rest of the letters. So these are some of the points. You know, the other things. So basically, it's crime, right? We need to enforce felonies to create deterrence. That's a big part to support
deterrence. Yeah, you use this term. Explain that. Why use that term, deterrence?
They know in California there's barely any consequence. You know, especially let's say people break into windows. I mean, I've had it happen to me in San Francisco. I mean, I was honestly maybe a little bit more. I didn't think people would be as mean because I actually left my backpack in the passenger seat on the floor, and I was just like, I left it in the floor. It's nighttime. No one's gonna see it. Or if they saw it, they're gonna be like, they're not gonna do anything. I come to my broken window car, and my passenger side shattered. Glass everywhere. My backpack, my passport was in there. Luckily my computer was not, but man, my credit cards. And I was like, I felt so violent. I was like, wow, people are that mean here? They would just take a backpack sitting there. So that was my first experience into crime, and followed up with police. Nothing. Took
Absolutely nothing.
months and months. They possibly had like a name that was doing a similar crime and break-in the area, but nothing happened. So I drove home that night from San Francisco. It was winter's November.
Very chilly.
My right side of my face was frozen. In my ear, I actually had to hold it while I'm driving. And I was like, wow. So anyway, people here still experience broken car windows,
I think
stolen
it's getting
cars.
a little bit better, but a lot of people around me experience the same thing. Some people experience over and over again. It's
yes,
so
mailboxes stolen.
Yeah.
Let's talk about even like jewelry stores being broken into.
I saw that. San Jose, they have like a car just crashed in the store, and there's a bunch of people
20
jump
people
off.
come in.
Let's
just focus just on District 24, okay? Fremont, all right? Kumar jeweler, about 24 people broke in, stole about $1.7 million, even held the security guard hostage, all right? They know if they gang up and it's a group effort, it's going to be so much difficult to track them. That's why I actually have 3 specific ways to fund Prop 36 that actually helps track down criminals, holds them accountable, and creates deterrence. One of them, I won't get into too much detail, but one of them is LPRs, right? We need more LPRs, which is license plate readers.
License plate readers. Oh, so that we can better tracking
the movement,
whose vehicles go through. Is that right?
That's part of it. But also when they travel outside of the district, we need to still be able to have cross-county collaboration. So some counties are like, oh, they're outside of Fremont now.
Jurisdiction issue, right?
Yeah. They're like, well, it's out of our hands, right? You're going to have to follow. No, we need to have sort of a universal district-wide, not just the county. It should be a bigger section where we're collaborating together. But because right now we're also just relying on cameras of citizens or the stores. You can only get that small frame. But we need more license plate, but also CCTV to track movements. That's just one aspect, right, of specific ways we can actually help fund Prop 36. So I actually have legislation that we can propose. Milpitas Kim Hung jeweler got broken into twice, or fine jewelry, and also Look Fook, all in Milpitas, happened in July, September of last year, within 2 months. And the 88-year-old of the jeweler of Kim Hung got shoved down by one of the suspects and suffered a stroke. Just absolutely a travesty. we need deterrence back. That is number one. Okay, crime. Taxes, we need to fight back on taxes, like I mentioned. I touched upon the mileage tax. Measure A, we tried, okay? But now they're trying to do more taxes for BART. Why are we doing more taxes? Okay, we need better spending policies. We need to know how the money is being spent clearly. The average citizen doesn't understand the transparency and how to understand what's being spent with their tax dollars. I even heard from a story from a constituent. She still travels to SF or to Oakland, to SF through BART, and it's still dirty. They had constant system-wide outages. We are the number one country in the world in the Bay Area.
At all.
And lastly, okay, did you know about ACA 17?
ACA 17, what is that?
This is a huge thing, okay, and something that Peter Kuo actually was fighting on when he was running for his different roles. But they try to do this every couple years. Affirmative action, they try to discriminate against especially minorities, but us Asians. So this is essentially a form of DEI, where even DEI before, they were requiring Asians and whites to score higher, on average 300 points higher on their SAT scores for college entrance exams. Why are we being punished for if we are
being excellent?
Being excellent and not just excellent, we're putting in the work to be excellent.
Harder.
We're not just naturally excellent. Like, we have to put in the work just like everybody else.
Yeah.
Maybe we have, I don't know, maybe we do have more discipline. Maybe it has to do thanks to our first generation parents, right?
Yeah, it's culture thing. It's definitely not a genetic thing. It's just when people think like, oh, you're just being racist. No, because we work harder. This is so simple. If you work as hard, you would get there as well.
Exactly. But why should we be punished for that?
I know,
and why should we work even harder for that?
Yeah.
So ACA 17, okay, is something that's being pushed. It's called California Assembly Constitutional Amendment number 7, introduced by Assemblymember Corey Jackson, a Democrat.
Yeah,
and Alex Lee voted yes for this. I have been also just on the street talking to people. Like, you remember all the Tesla protests?
Yeah,
they were protesting
I
Elon.
purchased this car before Elon got crazy.
They would put that on their sign as like some sort of badge of innocence.
Yeah.
I said, listen, if you're so believe in your cause, I think you should donate your car to charity. Put your money where your mouth is. But I would be out there just talking to some of the protesters. I'm trying to understand, hey, so you're telling people to sell Tesla stock, right? But did you know Elon only owns 13% of Tesla? So, and did you know mutual funds and index, Tesla is a major index fund. So by telling people to dump Tesla stock, you're actually hurting 86% of the fellow Americans, including your own retirement portfolio.
Yeah, 401k.
Oh, I get the middle finger. I would go away. F you.
Yeah.
Don't talk to me. So facts, but some people, some open-minded would be willing to talk to me, and then we talk about facts, and they would be shocked. Oh, Elon only owns, oh shit, I don't know why I'm only telling people to dump stock. So they would think about things. So I'm used to these debates. I'm used to these heated moments. They'll be spitting in my face. They'll be yelling at me. So now when I'm talking to neighbors, Democrat neighbors, yeah, it's a little heated sometimes, but I'm able to handle it.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's very important. I don't even, like, when you mention those people who have that sticker on, I think it's a natural thing to do. I think we should tolerate people for being hypocrite, because we, in some extent, we all are. When you want to just protect your interests, like, especially, there are crazy people out there who will scratch your car because of you own a Tesla. You naturally want to protect your own property. They don't have to necessarily believe that. That's something we cannot blame people, right? I think most of them are in the middle. Okay. So we should win them over, right? I think you will face the same situation when someday, right, when you in a higher position. I think that's human nature. So forgiving is also a part of our belief, right? Yeah, I don't know.
No, I agree with you. There are absolutely some that just want to make sure they don't experience violence, vandalism, they're just moderate people. They have family. They have probably kids in the car. They depend on the car for transport. I absolutely understand. I'm more talking about those people when we're on the street just waving a flag, supporting Tesla, and they drive by in their Tesla with I bought the Tesla before Elon and yelling slurs at us. Yeah. Those are the people I'm asking, hey, are you going to be donating your car to charity?
Yeah. That's really funny,
or
right?
selling it to me at a huge discount.
Yeah.
Right? Offload your Tesla if you truly believe the car is associated with politics. Yeah. And also, did you know, I would say these to them. Did you know Elon hires over 140,000 American workers? And by choice, they work for Elon. They support their families. They earn a good living wage.
Yeah.
He is an all-American boss.
Yeah.
And he supports so many families. So by you trying to hurt Tesla, you are hurting your fellow American workers.
Yeah. I hate those Bernie Sanders speech about Elon. Like, that's just pure lie, right? He would just say, okay, why he have to have so much money? No, it's not money, right? Elon owns is just the right to operate a company, right?
Yeah.
And he has to be in this position. I mean, money means nothing to Elon. And people like Bernie Sanders, they just trying to provoke the hatred out of some people who don't understand how this works. That's what I up against. But I mean, we don't have lots of time to educate ourselves in every aspect of life. So I think being a politician is like you have to be patient, have to be forgiving, right? Have to believe really what you do. So you have that stamina and the resilience no matter what come up to you and what force work against you, right? That makes you a great politician. Definitely. And I hope you will find great success in your future.
I appreciate that, Liam. And I think that brings to a good point, too, is, back to sort of the why I didn't take maybe the traditional route of school board and then city council is it's urgent. It's urgent that we need change and back to moderation. I have the experience. And by the way, if it specifically said for state assembly, if it listed out prerequisites for state assembly is you must serve 2 years school board, 3 years city council, if it lists and you had to take certain courses for government.
Thank God it's not.
Yes, right? So if I saw that, absolutely, I would, of course, follow the instructions. But there's a reason why there isn't. There aren't those prerequisites.
What is it?
So you have to be a certain age. You have to have been residing in
But you
California.
don't have to be a law background person to be in that group.
And
I think thank God for that,
said.
Right?
Yes.
Because I think just like what maybe you will advocate, common sense. And common sense, lots of occasion came from that biblical knowledge and insights. That's what you acquire through life and reflection for yourself, right?
Yes.
See yourself, what kind of nature we have. Then you can make maybe reasonable decision for other people.
Right. And not only that guidance, that is it a dogma, the principles that you believe in, but you have to be able to work with people too.
Yes,
and
sure.
I truly believe I have that. I have the passion. I've run a business. I understand how to, work with all sorts of people, collaborate with them, teamwork, inspire a team. That's why I have almost 30 volunteers helping me out. And I want to bring this up to Sacramento. And I want to create change. I truly believe I can do it. So I am asking everyone, if you care about your children's future, especially the first generation has worked hard to experience the American dream. Now they want to hand it off to their children. But now they're trying to do Prop 13, get rid of Prop 13, now Prop 19, where they're reassessing property values for their children's inheritance. It's not going to be sustainable. It's going to go from $5,000 a year to $15,000 a year for the property tax for the property for the children, and it's just not. People are wanting to leave. It's an exodus. Yeah. I want to reverse that. We need to create our families here, so we need to have them either create jobs or create businesses to truly bring the golden dream back to California. And that's why my slogan is, bringing back the California dream. And everyone's definition is different, but, my idea of the dream is something that you want to build a family here, and it's sustainable cost of living here. And that's why we need to save Prop 13. If we really want to get into it, I actually have specific ways to even propose a bracket system of a certain amount of equity, because some people, I listened to my constituents, they said, I just moved here and I don't think it's fair that all my neighbors who were here 20 years ago are paying just a fraction of the property tax I'm paying. So I do want to get rid of Prop 13. I was like, holy, you bring up a good point, actually. So what if we create a tax bracket system, a certain amount of $500,000 of equity, it's taxed at this rate, so at least just balances things off a little bit. So they did bring interesting points, right? But we need to compromise. So those are just an example of how I would find solutions to work with everybody. But you want to protect your pocketbook, your safety. Please vote for me. I will fight for you and your voice with my energy, my youth. I will work with all people. But get me into office. Let's get this done. Let's take California back is my message.
Good luck.
Yes.
Hope you see you soon. Thank you, Max.
Thank you, Liam.
See you next time.
Appreciate it.